Having an exceptional relationship with your spouse affects every single aspect of your life and is crucial for experiencing your dream life together. I'm Rob Murgatroyd.
And I'm Kim Murgatroyd. Listen in on our honest, filter-free conversations as we navigate life and business together without killing each other.
You'll learn by osmosis how to transform the friction you feel in your relationship into a purposeful foundation that will allow you to grow together.
Welcome to the Friday Podcast.
Kimberly Murgatroyd.
How long could you actually hold that for if you wanted to?
You know the song that you hate where the guy's like, I know, what's that song? Yeah. You know the one? I can't think of it.
And it, dun, 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 and day. That one? That just keeps going on.
Yeah,
and
but
on
but
and
what
on.
is the name? Yeah, anyway.
I don't remember.
Anyway, I can hold it for, I'm like Aqualung there. I can do it for a long time. But that's not even the point. The point is, do you notice my ability, my growing ability to roll my R's like an Italian in a very...
I do. You're a very good R roller. I am actually a shitty R roller. My Italian, it's getting better, but my pronunciation with the R's is definitely, I'm pretty sure, never going to happen.
But you know where it's difficult? It's difficult for me. Like if you could say roll it, I'll go, I can do it. But if you say to me, like, say Roberto, I'm going to say Roberto. I'm not going to do Roberto. I can't.
Try it.
Roberto. Hold on. Roberto. Roberto. Nah, see,
you know what I learned? I learned that the muscles in our face formed speaking English. And so we actually have to retrain the muscles in our face to speak Italian. But this is not why we're here, honey bunny.
No, it is not why we're here. We're here to discuss something that everybody loves when we talk about, and that's the idea of manifestation. We're not the quantum fields. As much as I think I like to admit that I am the quantum field, I'm not. We are learning how to tap into this and how to bring different manifestations into existence. And we had an interesting conversation, and by interesting, I mean we almost killed each other, in trying to understand how we manifest things and how to frame things during certain meditations. In other words, when you are visualizing, not just a meditation like TM where you're just saying a mantra over and over again, but like a visualization, let's say like an athlete would rehearse a pole vault or something, where you're really thinking about, well, what do you think about? Like, what are the things that you think about? Do you think about one thing? Do you think about 20 things? One day do you do this? The next day do you do that? Do you think about things that are hows? Like, do you think about things that just popped up that you think you should do? Like, what's the overarching focus? And if that's too granular, then you could turn this off, because I think this conversation is important for people that need granular discussions on things. So I'll let you jump in and then I can take it from there.
All right. So yesterday in the car, we are in the area of Maremma on the coast of Tuscany, and we were having this conversation about a Joe Dispenza type meditation where he has you create a list of intentions, the things that you are intentionally trying to manifest, and then the feelings that associate with achieving those intentions. And some of Rob's intentions kept popping up as, in my opinion, the how and not the actual intention. So let's call the intent, like, let's work in the realm of abundance, right? Because everybody loves money, wants more money, and wants abundance and all of that. So it's a good one to talk about. So in the manifestation of abundance with Joe, you got to have an intention. What's my intention? My intention is to create for us automated, infinite abundance, right? So we really want to spend the next year or two putting our time, energy, and effort into automation. Things that will continue to throw off income, passive income in that kind of a lane. And we're telling the universe we are open to all opportunities of creating true passive income and automated income. and all that jazz. So when we go into these meditations, we're doing this abundance style, drawing it to you. But we found out yesterday we're doing it very differently. And I'm focusing on the visualization of the things that would mean in my life that I have this level of automated abundance. And there are pictures of foundations, pictures of in my mind, like movies I play, of foundations that I want to create and make my mark maybe and leave the world a better place and help kids. One strong one that I really have is I think travel, international travel as a child is insanely important, and it creates a global citizen, and we need more of that and less myopic, racist people in the world. And so I think we need more global citizens. So travel as a child is one way to do that. When you travel internationally, you get to know another part of the world and see that people are just like you. But I don't necessarily mean like with your parents. I mean in these youth organizations. It's what I did as a kid, and it made a huge impact on me. So I would love to create a foundation that has that. So I will play over and over in my head what that would look like if my foundation was achieved that grants these kids opportunities. And so something like that, when I really get granular on it and I think about all of the aspects of it and seeing these kids off for trips, it makes me emotional. It makes me proud. It makes me feel like all the feelings that I associate with abundance, it makes me feel. So I focus on that. Rob, however, was focusing more on the how. So he has his same intention, right? Same automation and all of that. But he would go into, I'm going to automate it in these 3 ways. And he was focusing on that.
All right. So let me unpack that a little bit, because I think many of you may be in the similar situation. So Kim's overarching point is focus on what you want. And if what you're looking for is to have, and this is the case that I was looking for, which prompted the discussion, where I originally started was we've calculated our dream life income to be 300,000. Okay. So it's not like 30 million, and it's a very achievable yearly thing with intention. But there's a lot of hustle that's associated with achieving that number, right? I got to do the work. I got to fill different products. I got to sell different products to do that. Well, this year, my focus has been on how do I create that in an automated way. We don't need to go into the 1,000 ways that you can create $300,000 in an automated income. I mean, you could figure out most of them yourself, right? But when you're thinking of one of those things, like I'll give you an example. Let's take real estate, right? Real estate is something that is in that package. Well, if I have a house that's producing X amount of income, that's throwing off passive income towards the $300,000, and that's in alignment with it. So when I do my meditation, do I meditate on being houses that are throwing off income? And in my mind, I was like, yeah, I mean, that's what you want, right? And then Kim's argument was the opposite. She said, yeah, but if that can come to you where it didn't come from a house and you can get it in some other way, would that be acceptable to you? I'm like, yeah, I don't care. She goes, well, why are you focusing on the house? I was like, well, how am I going to get the house if I don't visualize getting the house? She's like, you don't understand. And we kept going back and forth and back and forth. And then she described something. And when she described it, she said she gave one of her hows that came into it. And I was like, well, you just gave a how. She's like, yeah, but that's just something that flashed in my mind. I'm like, yeah, but you just said a how. You're telling me not to say a how. And then that led into the way that I needed to chunk this in my mind that seems to help. So I'm going to share it with you because maybe it'll help you if you find yourself in these shoes. So let's go back to the example of the real estate, right? So one of the ways I came up with is having an income producing property somewhere. So that goes on to a list, right? That was an inspired action. I had an inspiration that the universe was saying, maybe you should consider real estate. I don't know why it came to me, but it did, right? And I have a bunch of others that also came to me. There are other ones that I have absolutely no desire about. They never came to me, and it's not something that's appealing to me in any way, so they don't make the list. So the list is something that was an inspiration, that was maybe a flash that came to me in meditation. Maybe it was a conversation that somebody said. Maybe I woke up thinking about it. Maybe I dreamt about it. Maybe I saw it in a movie and I was like, oh, I want to do that. But there was some connection to it. I'm putting that onto what I'm calling an inspired action list, right? It's not the be all, it's not the end all, but these are things that I have a feeling and an inspiration and a proclivity towards achieving. That I may drop them off the list when I start doing it and go, this is not really something I'm interested in. I may double down on it. I may modify it. I may add others to the list as time goes on. But it is not, those are the hows, right? They're the inspired action hows. Okay, you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to just put this in kind of in an order. So for me, when I'm doing a meditation, it doesn't matter who you're listening to. If it's Joe Dispenza, Gabby Bernstein, Abraham Hicks, any of them, anyone that talks about manifestation will say the same thing. And they will say, you're asking for what you want. We're going to go back to unlimited, automated abundance, right? So abundance of wealth, unlimited, automated abundance of wealth. Let's say you go back to that, okay? Ask for what you want. The how is not up to you. There are 10 million, gazillion, infinite possibilities of the way that could come to you. And so I use the example with Rob when we were in our chiropractic office a decade ago. He was so hyper-focused on the way he was going to get out of the chiropractic clinic was if he opened 10 of them in 10 years and they each threw off X number of dollars and he sold them, cashed out, and then that he could live on the interest. It was like some plan that someone else made for themselves that Rob latched onto and became his plan. But he was so hyper-focused on that he was closed off to other opportunities. So the problem for me is when you focus too much on the how and not on the end result, then you get into trouble. So if the end result is I want to live this dream life, like we talk about this in our vision course, like you create the vision of the life you want. And the vision for the life that we're now going more into is Rob really wants to write. He wants to write. It's in him. It's coming out of him. He wants to write. But to write, you have to have time. And he needs to have more free time to write, more bandwidth, mental bandwidth to write, and less daily obligation, and also be able to put energy and effort into the other areas of life. And so our vision is for more income that comes in, but in automation. And so that's the vision, right? There's 10 million hows, but when you're asking the universe for that manifestation, you're asking the universe for that thing, that abundance that you're after, that time freedom, that financial and time freedom, all at the same time. The universe is going to send you nudges, inspirations, opportunities that could be in alignment with what you want. Your job is to see them. So you ask, the universe answers. That's where you get the inspired actions. That's where you get the opportunities. That's where you get these conversations that feel like are just meant for you, right? And so that's where those are. So now Rob understands that these hows are really inspired actions. But the one thing that I asked you yesterday that triggered a lot of this, I think can help people. Should I share it? Or do you want to share it? About the 1.58 billion.
Let's do that last.
Okay.
I want to comment on what you just said.
Okay.
So you said something really interesting a second ago that I had not thought about, which was you mentioned yesterday that my previous goal, and you mentioned just now, was to have 10 chiropractic offices in 10 years, right? So using the lens that I just created or we just created a second ago, it's very interesting to look at that through that lens. So the 10 offices in 10 years wasn't my thoughts. It was a friend of mine who was a chiropractor who felt very inspired to do it. He's somebody very good with money. And he was somebody, not only was he inspired to do it, he was taking action on doing it quite successfully. And I looked at his action and went, okay, I want to duplicate that. But if I really think about it, it really didn't even belong on the vision list, and it didn't even belong on the inspired action how-to list because it wasn't mine. And if I had to do it again, it wouldn't be there. But let's say it was mine, right? Let's say that, or let's argue and say, yeah, but he said it and there was some part of you that felt like it was worth it to take action on. So maybe there was something in that for you, right? So with this new model of understanding, what I would have done was I would have put, okay, that's not the vision. The vision that I want is to have the 10 million that's going to throw off, or the $5 million that's going to throw off. And I would have looked at that and chiropractic offices in 10 years on my inspired action list. And at some point I would have said, maybe there's another way that I could accomplish this same goal, but I didn't. What I did was I wrestled the gorilla to the ground. I joined management companies. I did Zooms. I did private men's groups with chiropractors. I ran ads for chiropractic associates. I tried to train and learn how to create an office that became a school for chiropractors. And guess what? I was the worst at it. I was terrible. I was a terrible chiropractic teacher. I was uninspired to want to coach them because it was not something like I was forcing this instead of looking at it as just one method that could have worked. And as I got into it, going like, this is not for me. This is for him. This is not something I'm interested in. And I would have taken it off, but I wouldn't have let go of the vision. The vision was the $5 million, right? That's what I wanted. Okay, now you can do the billion.
All right. So what I said, Rob was having a hard time yesterday deciphering what's an inspired action versus what is something that would be my intention, that I want to create clarity around my vision, right? Like the vision of what I want. And I said, okay. So someone in Florida won this big lottery that you all are in America. So you know, or if you're in America, you know what I'm talking about. It was $1.58 billion with a B. $1.58 billion. And there's one person with one ticket who won that.
Even if half came out in taxes, that's a $500 million.
Okay. So $1.58 billion. I said, if you won that, if that was your ticket and you won that, what on your list of the things you're manifesting, the original list he made before we had that conversation with all the house, what on that list would still make it into the list? Like, what would you still want to be doing? You have $1.58 billion. What would you still be doing?
Well, that was the key question that changed everything. If somebody says, like, if you win the lottery, or if you go to your bank account and you have $10 million or $100 million, there was something about the $1.58 billion that, one, somebody did just win it. And two, it's such a ridiculous, absurd amount of money that I don't see how it would be possible for you to ever have a financial challenge ever again in your life, right? So it really eliminates financial pressure, stress, or anything else. Then I looked at the list and I was like, oh, well, most of these things I wouldn't be doing. Like a lot of these things I'm doing purely because I'm trying to service this dream life income automated goal. So a lot of it I wouldn't do. And then Kim's like, well, all of it? I'm like, no, I would still write. She's like, you would still write a book if you had 1.58? I'm like, absolutely. So it was a differentiator that made me realize what was truly something I was passionate about and what was something I was doing really just for money. And I think having that understanding, like even I want to turn this book into a movie. So I would do that too, except I would just fund it. You know what I mean? So being able to like look at that list and say, if you won $1.58 billion, what would come off your list of visualization, manifestation, goal setting, and what would remain on the list? And if you look at the things that would remain on your list, then you have to sort of like reverse engineer it and say, okay, well, what should the vision be to help me fund these things that are on the list?
So that's exactly it. So the things that remain on the list at that point, that's the vision for your life. The how is going to be the things that create the inspired action. Listen, maybe you'll be inspired to walk into the ticket counter and buy the $1.58 million or billion dollar Powerball. I don't know. But you will have inspired actions that show up as a how, and there's 10 gazillion infinite ways for that to happen. And that's not up to you. Now, again, this is the part, I'm going to say one thing because people get this wrong when they talk about manifestation. The manifestation thing is, okay, so I ask the universe and then I just do nothing and wait for it to show up. That's not what shows up. So you say, I want a boat, and a boat doesn't just show up, okay?
Unless you're 20.
Unless you're 20, and then maybe the boat shows up. But if you are wanting something and I want a boat, maybe.
Hey, let me just tell
Hold
you.
on.
I got to tell a joke because you guys will be like, what are you talking about? We watched a comedian one night and he says, you want to know who the true manifestors in the world are? 20-year-olds. And everybody's like, 20-year-olds? What are you talking about? He said, you'll have a 20-year-old, some like influencer type. They'll be like hanging out with their friends and they'll be talking to each other. And one will go, I want to be on a boat. And boom, the next thing you know, she's on a boat with some dude.
Okay, so there you go. I'm on a boat. So, but let's just, whatever it is that you want a boat. You don't just sit your ass on the couch and say, I want a boat, I want a boat, I want a boat. I see myself on a boat, I'm on a boat, I'm on a boat. And that's it. You have to be open and receptive. This is the part that I think people screw up in manifestation. I think they do plenty of asking and a whole lot of begging, but they aren't open and receptive. And to be open and receptive means you have to be on the same vibration of the positive thing you're bringing in. So if you want something to attract into your life, you can't just beg the universe to give it to you and then hope it happens and then go, this manifestation shit doesn't work. You have to ask for it, and then you have to be open and receptive in the same frequency and vibration of the thing you're trying to attract in, which is a positive vibration. So you're spending your effort and energy on staying in that higher vibration. And we were talking about this the other day. We were talking about magnets. Like if I'm in a good mood and I'm just walking through town and something negative happens, I am a literal opposite magnet. You know, when you have two magnets and they're the opposite and it like pushes them away, that's how I feel. When I'm in a high vibration state and some negativity comes, I'm like, not today, Satan. And I push it away. But if I'm in a high vibration state and then I see someone else in a high vibration state, I'm attracted to them. I'm going to smile at them. I'm going to start a conversation with them. I am attracted to that energy. That's where the work in manifestation is. It's not in the asking, it's in the allowing. And the allowing requires you to be open in a high vibration state for receiving.
So, all right. So we'll wrap up with this. So this morning, I meditate every morning, right? I'm doing Joe Dispenza's course right now, the formula course. And what prompted this conversation was it's called changing boxes. It's actually not related to the formula course, but it's the same kind of thing. And where you're changing boxes from the box of your life that you're currently in to the box of the life that you want to be living in, right? And so you're visualizing what you want. And that's what prompted this whole conversation of hows versus the vision. And so before this conversation, I was visualizing many of the hows, like I want this much income and I'm going to visualize each of the different hows that are going to give it to me. That was not the right way to do it. This morning, I did it the way we just described in this podcast, and it was different. And here's why. So when I visualized having the unlimited automated income coming in every month, there was a feeling that came up. It was, I feel like there's no stress to produce. It feels like if I want to take the day off, I just take the day off. I want to take a week off, I take the week off. because every single week, money is coming in. I don't have to do anything for it. I've already set it up. I did the work and I'm enjoying my life. And then I thought, oh, a trip to Japan, that might be nice. Then I thought, okay, well, who's that guy? What does that guy look like? And I saw myself leaner, more fit.
With long hair.
With long hair. What does that guy look like, right? How does that guy feel? Confident, powerful, strong. I didn't see myself in the gym. I didn't see myself going through a nutritional program. I didn't see myself shopping for those clothes. I saw myself wearing them, of who the guy is. So when you get clear on what it is that you want, I think you can more easily step into that picture, like really, and to use Joe's words, like changing boxes. You could change your box in a much more efficient way versus me visualizing those hows, because those hows then, they're not connected to the bigger picture. They're just a how. So hopefully this helps, this cleared things up, and that you may need to listen to this a couple of other times. Anything you want to add before we go?
Yeah, just one thing, because whenever we start talking about visualization and vision and manifestation, the number one question I get is, where do I start? And you start with figuring out what you want. But there's a lot to figuring out what you truly want. Like when we talked about Rob with 10 offices in 10 years versus what he really wanted, which was freedom and not be in the clinic. There's a lot of nuances to figuring that out. And so we created the Ultimate Vision course for this reason. It is a great course. We put everything we know, everything we do into it, and we will be constantly updating and evolving this course. So if you are at that point and you're like, yeah, I want to manifest, I want to create a vision, it is literally all in that course. All you have to do is get it. There is a coupon code for our Friday listeners. That is FRIDATE25, and that gives you 25% off the course. And the course link will be in the description. So I hope that this made sense. I wish you happy manifesting.
Good Shabbos to everybody. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody, if you've ever thought about coming to hang out with Kim and I on one of our next Rob and Kim Italia events and you want to learn more, just click the Rob and Kim Italia link in the show notes and add your name and email, and we'll send you all the details as soon as they're available. We are obsessed with this country and how it affects you, and we want to share that magic of culture, food, wine, art, architecture, and some secret magic moments that we've cooked up with you. So be sure to add your name because these events sell out quickly.